Welcome to AlexGs Aquarium. Today we're going to be talking about installing the final pieces of the 480. It's 3/4 inch glass that's going to be used for my center braces. 480 gallon tank has two of these, and I'm going to adhere them very similar to the glass that I installed on the tank displays. First thing we have to do though is surface prep, because we want to have a good roughed out surface for the RTV 108 to bond to. We're not going to sand the glass at all. It should be able to hold just fine, but we do want to rough up the pond shield here and the indentations that I've put for the glass. Because ultimately it'll end up sitting like this. With it being sit in here like this, we're going to go ahead and silicone it in, and then we will have our center braces complete. Probably going to let them cure for around a week. I'm going to start with the 480 because most of the rock structure is done. I'm not sure when I'll get to the 720. It all depends on when the rock gets done. I wanted to go over this process with everybody and just kind of show how it works. I'm going to use spacers on this just like the glass on the main display. It's going to elevate it just a little bit, and that's okay. I want a nice thick layer of RTV between the glass and the plywood. Let me go ahead and get some sandpaper here, and then we're going to go rough this up on each one of these. I've already done the other side, and when that's complete, we're going to do the final prep of these surfaces with the cleaning, and then we'll apply our spacers, and then we're going to go ahead and RTV these in. First thing we need to do is, I have the pond shield on here from the final coat, which is all smooth, but in order to get a good bond between the RTV 108 and the glass, I want to rough this surface up just like I would for applying a glass face to the tank. So I got some 60 grit sandpaper here, and I'm just gonna go in and sand it down. And you don't want to sand this really hard. We're just trying to scratch the surface. You'll actually see the scratches form on here pretty easy. It's a little dusty. I put some cardboard down in the tank because I don't want to get this dust. I'm going to go ahead and vacuum this real quick, and then I'll be ready for the next part. With the sanding completed for the cross braces, I've gone ahead and I vacuumed each one of them out, and now I'm ready to do the cleaning portion of this. Now, normally if I was sanding, I wouldn't be using a vacuum on it right away. Most of the dust from the pond shield that has been roughed up here has been removed through the vacuum, but it's still a good idea to go across with some isopropyl alcohol and make sure that you don't have anything left behind. Simply just gonna wet this down, give it a good wipe. This is the same exact process that I use for adding the glass onto both the 480 and the 720. It worked, the glass is still attached, it's not supported anymore by a 2x4, and it hasn't fallen off yet, so that's always a good thing. I'm just gonna give this a nice rub down here, and I don't even really see any dust or dirt, but I wanted to kind of hit this either way. I was gonna do one side at a time. I'm going to do the other opposite end of this as well and clean it off with alcohol. And you can see, just looking at the paper towel here, there's a little bit of dirt and debris that came off on there, which is why it's always a good idea to clean this stuff before you bond. You don't want any kind of dust or dirt there if you can help it, just because it's just going to create more problems for you than anything else. And now take a zip tie, which it all depends on the glass thickness you're using. I'm at 3/4 inch glass, so I found that the zip ties were the best spacers I could use. You don't need a lot. Just gonna get two pieces that are maybe a 1/2 inch long, and I'm gonna kind of space them out in the boundaries of where a third would be on here, just so that it can't rock on there. I want to keep it kind of level. I want a nice thick bead aside there, which is gonna help provide that bond. This stuff is extremely strong. I'm going to again be using the RTV 100 series. This is RTV 108, which is the clear one. It does have an FDA rating on it, and it also is mil-spec compliance. This is heavy duty adhesive, and I have to say, after using it with the glass, even on unclean surfaces, when this stuff cures, it is really difficult to get off. On the glass, a razor blade is pretty much a must, and it's not going to just come off by pulling on it. It has a very strong bonding property on it, and if you look at all the spec sheets for it, it really has an incredibly powerful bond. I'm now going to go ahead and get my glass cleaned off here. Same thing, we're going to just wipe it down with alcohol. I'm going to try to be touching it mostly in the center and away from where the bonding surfaces are. I'm going to clean both sides and all the edges around it, just because I want to try and get as much of it cleaned as I can. I'll go ahead and do that now. Now I've got two spacers set up for this side, so they're not really easy to see here. I'm going to cut a couple more. The other side here. So let me go move these over there, get this glass cleaned, and we'll move on to the next step. Glass is now clean and the spacers are ready. Now all that's really left is for me to open up the RTV here. I'm going to give a little dab on each one of these spacers, gently place them in. You don't need a lot of RTV. Let me get this going here. Spacers are in both sides. We're going to let this sit up for just a few minutes. And go ahead and get the RTV going. Just going to go in and start laying some RTV down. Try to do a relatively thick bead so it'll spread out. There's a little bit of extra RTV that's on the glass. I'm not worried about it. I can hit it with a razor blade later on, and I don't care about it being on the pond shield a little bit. It won't harm anything. Alright, go ahead and repeat this same process for the other glass cross brace, and this job will be done. I'm just going to let it sit up for a few days, maybe a week. Well, the seal's all done on here, and I'll finish the other one up, and we'll be all set with this tank then. There is a couple of little air gaps in here, and one of my spacers slightly moved, but I'm not really concerned about it. It's a 5" by 5" square, so we got 25 square inches of coverage of RTV, not to mention the sides and the back also are RTV'd in place on both sides. There's going to be plenty of staying power for this, and it's not going to go anywhere. So I'm going to go ahead now and get the other one all prepped up, completed. If you have any questions or comments about today's video, please feel free to leave them down in the comments section below. If you like the video, go ahead and give it a like. If you dislike the video, go ahead and give it a dislike. And if you want to see more updates on my 1600 gallon system, please go ahead and hit that subscribe button. We're going to be filling this tank up in June, pretty much for sure now. Once these cross braces are in, that was pretty much it. Everything on these tanks is 100% complete and ready for a test fill. I even have my overflows in place already. Stick around, there's going to be a lot of cool stuff coming up with this build in the next few weeks. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next video.